As I mentioned, I'm doing a big piece of work for this agency, global agency at the moment. And when we designed the program, I asked them, okay, so based on your research, what are the things that have got in the way? What are the things that led to failure? And really grateful that they shared these things. So I'll share some of them with you. Firstly, and they're in no particular order, but firstly, it's when the agency talks too much about their own business. So when they're banging on about how amazing they are, and we've been going on for however many years, and these are our people, and yada, 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 and here's a case study for this and this and this. It's useful, but like you were saying when we were preparing for this, Rob, people can see that on the website, as long as the website is good. So it's not about talking about their own business. It's cutting to the chase and talking about, well, what are the problems that they are facing, and how you're going to help them overcome those. So that's a key one. Another one, which I'm going to be conscious of today, is not landing points succinctly. And we've got such a short attention span, even more so now with our AI. And we expect answers immediately. We expect the answers that we want immediately. So we have to be able to cut to the chase and be succinct and not ramble on. Not striking, this is interesting, not striking the right balance between intellect and capability. So it's trying to be too clever, trying too hard, in fact. When people are just desperately trying to make out that, they're hugely intellectual, or they've got all the expertise, and it's very, very technical, and, they get too into the detail. And I think this is linked to not being authentic, not being who you are, which is not always easy, especially when you're nervous. And also not authentically showing your love for the brand that you're pitching for. So for me, with that product, that NeoK product, it was easy. But there have been some products that I've pitched for where I'm like, there's nothing personal that I'm connected to with them. So it's finding a way of being connected to them personally, showing them that you care. Some technical things, messing up on the timing, so not finishing on time. Oh, deadly sin. Another one that's just popped into my head back from when I used to do pitching. The little details that you get wrong. So not reading the brief, or getting a spelling mistake, spelling the brand wrong. I remember once an agency that I worked at, they did that on the first slide. Failure from that moment onwards. Using too much PowerPoint content and not actually talking about your expertise from the front of the room. And then finally, not pitching as a cohesive group. So where you haven't really figured out, if you're pitching as a team, how you're going to introduce each other. You've got one person dominating the introduction over everybody else, or where you haven't figured out who's going to be answering which question. So either no one talks in response to a question that's asked, or everyone talks at the same time. So those are some of the points that came from the research that I did with the agencies that I'm working with, as well as some other ones that, popped into my head while I've been speaking. So what do you think? Those resonate with you?
Oh God, they resonate with me entirely. I think we've all been through all of those ones. I'd be quite interested to know, what is it that you think make the pitch bad for the client? So almost like in the sense of the customer is king. I guess the question is, what is it that the client wants, and what is it that really hacks them off?
Yeah. Well, ultimately, it's like, well, they don't get me. They haven't taken the time to find out about me, and they haven't given me answers to the problems I've got. So this has been a waste of my time. I mean, ultimately, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you go out and you find a solution, whatever it is, whatever you're purchasing. You have a need, you've got a pain point, or you've got something that you want, aspirationally, that you want, that's different, and you don't have it. So it's you're going out and you're looking for it, and you want the answer for it as quickly as possible.
But there's an assumption within that the potential client knows what they want. They're not the expert
Yeah.
in the field. That's why they've come to you to do whatever it is you wish to do: PPC, SEO, build a website, do some research, they've come to you because they can't do it internally. So they don't know what they don't know, as well as having seen the 3 previous pitches in the beauty parade, having lunch in 10 minutes, but they're quite angry. So how are there ways that you can get the client on side? Question mark.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to pitching, it starts from the first interaction that you have with them. And people think that, well, let's they get an RFI or they get a briefing, they get fixated on delivering it on the day. But there's so many different touch points that you can make the most of or create between when that happens and when you're actually in the meeting, to build rapport, to find out as much as you possibly can from them, what they need and what they want. And then it's about making the answer easy for them to consume. So you might know that technically this is what they need, but if they don't speak exactly the same language as you, if you give them it to them in that technical language, then they really won't understand what that means. Ultimately, what they want is they want to buy solutions that are simple from people who they can trust.
Simple as that.
Well, of course it's not simple, but we have to, when we're pitching, we have to make it as simple as that. And so that's the skill, isn't it? It's understanding, having that expertise to really understand what their problems are, and then to be able to diagnose those and then prescribe what the solutions are, but then to be able to communicate them in such a way that they get it and they go, yeah, absolutely.